Somewhere tonight, in the quiet of your own heart, you are asking a question you have not said out loud to anyone. You are asking, how much longer? You have prayed, you have believed, you have held on when holding on made no sense at all, and still the answer has not come. Still the door has not opened. Still the phone has not rung with the news you have been waiting for. I want to tell you something before we go one step further tonight. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not too far gone, too late, or too broken for what is coming. Everything is shifting in your favor. Right now, while you feel the most stuck, the most delayed, the most disappointed, heaven is already moving. You cannot see it yet, but it is moving. There is a difference between God's silence and God's absence. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is often construction. Somewhere behind the scenes of your life, something is being built that you cannot rush, cannot force, and cannot manufacture on your own strength. You have tried to make it happen in your own timing. You have pushed doors that would not open, and you have wondered why the harder you pushed, the more resistance you felt. Listen to me. Some doors are shut on purpose, not because you are being punished, but because you are being protected. What looks like delay to you looks like preparation to Him. I want you to say something to yourself right now, quietly in your spirit. My breakthrough is not canceled, it is coming. It has a set time, and no delay, no disappointment, no person, and no circumstance can push it past the appointed hour. You have to believe that the same hand that has kept you until this moment has not brought you this far to leave you standing here empty-handed. There is a shift coming, and it is coming in your favor. Think about every single time in your life when you thought it was over, and it was not over. Think about every closed door that you now understand was mercy in disguise. Think about the job you didn't get that would have kept you from the one that changed your whole life. Think about the relationship that ended in pain but freed you for something you could not have received while you were still tangled up in that old chapter. You have already lived through seasons that felt like the end, and they were not the end, they were the hallway. They were the corridor between one version of your life and the next, and you are in a hallway right now. It feels like nothing is happening. It feels like you are just walking down a long, plain, silent corridor with no doors in sight. But hallways lead somewhere. You are not stuck. You are in transit. Here is what I need you to understand about timing. Real timing, not the timing you demand, not the timing you have marked on your calendar, but the timing that actually governs the universe. Everything that has ever grown the right way has grown slowly. No one has ever seen a tree grow from a seed to full height overnight. No one has ever seen a child become a grown adult in a single season. Growth that is real takes root before it takes shape. And what you are walking through right now, this uncomfortable, uncertain, achingly slow season, this is root time. This is the time where nobody sees anything happening above the ground, but underneath, in the dark, in the hidden place, something is anchoring itself so strongly that when it finally breaks through the surface, nothing will be able to knock it down again. You have been asking for the harvest, but have you considered that what you are in right now is the planting? You do not get to skip the planting and go straight to the reaping. Every seed has to go into the ground and die to what it used to look like before it becomes what it is capable of being. That means some version of you has to die right now. The version of you that panics under pressure. The version of you that gives up 2 feet from the finish line. The version of you that says, it's never going to happen for me, has to be buried, so that the version of you who walks in unstoppable faith can rise. I have watched people quit 30 days before their miracle. I have watched people walk away from the promise right before it was fulfilled, simply because the waiting became too heavy and they could not see one more day of holding on. Do not let that be your story. Do not let discouragement talk you out of the very thing you have been contending for. The enemy of your breakthrough does not fight hardest at the beginning of your journey. He fights hardest right before the finish line because he knows what is on the other side of your obedience, your patience, and your faith. If the resistance in your life has intensified lately, that is not proof that you are failing. That is proof that you are close. Consider this. A woman does not go into the deepest, most intense pain of labor at the very beginning of the process. The deepest pain comes right before the birth. If you are in the deepest pain of your life right now, that is not a signal that things are falling apart. It is a signal that something is about to be delivered. What you are walking through is not the grave, it is the delivery room. And what is being born through your life right now is going to look nothing like the pain it took to get there. Nobody remembers the agony of labor the way they remember the joy of holding the child. Your breakthrough is going to make you forget how long the wait felt. I need you to shift your posture. Stop waiting like a victim and start waiting like someone who is expecting. There is a massive difference between the way a person waits when they believe nothing is coming and the way a person waits when they know something is coming. One person waits with their arms crossed and their head down. The other person waits with their bags packed and their heart wide open. Which one are you? Because your posture during the wait often determines your readiness for the answer. If you keep living like nothing is coming, you will miss it when it arrives because you are not positioned to receive it. Get your house in order. Get your heart in order. Get your expectations in order. Something is coming, and you need to be standing on your feet, dressed, ready, and watching, not lying down in defeat, convinced that this is just how your life is going to be forever. Let me tell you what faith is not. Faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is not the absence of doubt. Faith is not waking up every single day feeling confident and unshakable. Faith is what you choose to do in spite of the fear, in spite of the doubt, in spite of the exhaustion of waiting. Faith is getting up one more day and saying, I still believe, even when your feelings are screaming the opposite. Feelings are loud, but they are not prophets. Your feelings can tell you it is over. Your feelings can tell you that you have been forgotten. Your feelings can tell you that everyone else is moving forward while you stand still. But feelings do not have the final word over your life. Truth has the final word. And the truth is this: what is for you will not pass you by. What belongs to you will find you, even if it has to rearrange the entire timeline of your life to get to you. I want to speak directly to the exhaustion some of you are carrying. You are tired of hoping. You are tired of believing and watching things fall apart anyway. You are tired of standing back up every time life knocks you down. I understand that tiredness, but I also want to remind you that tired does not mean done. You can be tired and still be in the will of God for your life. You can be weary and still be walking in the exact center of your purpose. Do not confuse exhaustion with failure. Sometimes the most faithful thing you will ever do is keep showing up when you have nothing left to give, simply because giving up was never actually an option for you. Not really, not deep down, no matter how many times you have said the words out loud. There is a shift happening even now, in this very moment, as these words reach you. Something that has been stagnant in your life is beginning to move. Something that has been closed is beginning to crack open at the hinges. Something that has been silent is about to speak. You have been asking, when will it be my turn? And I am telling you, your turn has already been marked on a calendar you cannot see by a hand that has never once been late to a single appointment in the history of everything that has ever existed. Not one appointment missed, not one promise broken, not one soul who trusted fully and was left standing there abandoned forever. Your story will not be the exception. Let's talk honestly about the comparisons that have been quietly killing your peace. You have watched other people receive what you have been praying for. You have watched them get married while you stayed single. You have watched them get promoted while you stayed overlooked. You have watched them get healed while you stayed sick. You have watched them succeed while you stayed stuck. And in the quiet corners of your mind, a very dangerous question has been forming. What is wrong with me? I need you to release that question right now, because there is nothing wrong with you. Your timeline was never supposed to look like theirs. Their season is not your season. Their assignment is not your assignment. You are not behind. You are exactly on time for the life that was designed specifically for you, and no one else's clock can measure your race, because no one else is running it. Stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. You do not know what they walked through to get where they are. You do not see the nights they cried on their bathroom floor before the world ever saw them stand on a stage. You are only seeing the finished product of someone else's process and comparing it to the unfinished middle of your own. That is not a fair comparison, and it never will be. Take your eyes off the person next to you and put them back on the path in front of you. Your path, your pace, your purpose. I want to remind you of something about mountains and valleys because most of us think the valley is punishment and the mountain is reward. But that is not always true. Some of the deepest, most important lessons of your entire life are only available in the valley. You cannot learn total dependence on the mountaintop because on the mountaintop, you can see everything, you feel strong, you feel capable, you feel like you have got this. But in the valley, when you cannot see 3 feet in front of you, when the fog is so thick you are not even sure which direction is forward, that is where real trust is built. That is where you learn to walk by something deeper than sight. If you are in a valley right now, do not waste it by only complaining about it. Learn from it, grow in it, let it teach you the kind of faith that mountains never could. Now, here is something you need to hear clearly, without any confusion. Preparation and waiting are not the same thing as passivity. There is a version of waiting that is lazy, that just sits back and expects everything to fall into your lap without effort, without obedience, without faithfulness in the small things. That is not what I am describing. I am describing active waiting, waiting that works while it waits, waiting that keeps showing up, keeps being faithful with what is currently in your hand, even if it looks small, even if it looks insignificant compared to what you are believing for. Do not despise the season of small beginnings. What you do with the little you have right now is directly connected to how much you will be trusted with later. If you are faithful in obscurity, you will not fall apart in visibility. Build the character now that your future blessing is going to require, because the size of your harvest will always demand the size of your capacity, and capacity is built in the waiting room, not in the moment the blessing arrives. Let's talk about the doors that closed on you, because I know some of you are still grieving those doors. I know some of you still replay the moment it fell apart, still wonder what you could have done differently, still carry the sting of rejection like a wound that never fully healed. I want to offer you a different way of seeing it. Some doors were never meant to be permanent homes for you. They were meant to be temporary hallways that led you exactly to where you needed to stand right now. If that door had stayed open, you might have stayed in a place that was never designed to hold the fullness of who you were becoming. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually redirection. Sometimes the door closing in your face is the very thing saving you from a future you would have hated had you been allowed to walk into it. There is a kind of pain that only makes sense in hindsight. You will not understand everything you are walking through today until you are standing on the other side of it, looking back. And when you get there, and you will get there, you are going to shake your head at how afraid you were, how uncertain you felt, how many nights you spent wondering if any of it would ever make sense. You are going to look back and see the thread. You are going to see how every disappointment was quietly working together with every delay, every rejection, every unanswered prayer, weaving something so intricate and so beautiful that you could never have designed it yourself, even if you had tried with everything in you. I want you to hold on to hope like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Hope is not naive. Hope is not denial. Hope is the refusal to let today's circumstances write tomorrow's story. Hope says, just because it has not happened yet does not mean it is not going to happen. Hope says, I have not seen the ending, so I am not going to accept the middle as the final word. Hope is one of the most powerful forces a human being can carry because it keeps you moving forward when every visible sign says stop. Do not let go of hope, no matter how many times life has tried to talk you out of it. Let me speak to the ones who feel like they have prayed the same prayer for years without a single visible change. I know how heavy that gets. I know how it feels to wonder if your prayers are even making it past the ceiling. I want to tell you they are. Nothing you have prayed in faith has been wasted. Nothing you have believed in sincerity has gone unnoticed. There is a record being kept of every tear, every whispered prayer in the middle of the night, every moment you chose to trust instead of giving up. None of it has been forgotten. None of it has been in vain. The delay is not evidence of neglect. It is evidence that something bigger than you expected is being arranged, and bigger things simply take more time to build. You need to start speaking differently over your own life. Stop saying it's never going to happen for me. Stop saying I always get the short end of everything. Stop saying this is just how my life is. Words carry weight. Words shape atmosphere. Words plant seeds, and whatever you keep planting with your mouth, you will eventually harvest with your life. If you keep speaking defeat, do not be surprised when defeat keeps showing up as a regular guest in your story. But if you start speaking breakthrough, if you start declaring shift, if you start calling forward the very thing you have been praying for, even before you see it, you are aligning your words with the very thing your faith has been reaching for. Speak life, speak shift, speak breakthrough, not because it is a magic formula, but because your words are training your heart to believe what your eyes have not yet seen. I want to remind you of something about seasons, because seasons always change. No winter lasts forever. No storm rages endlessly without eventually breaking into calm. If you are in a winter season right now, take comfort in this. Winters end. They always end. The same trees that look dead and bare in the coldest months of the year are the very same trees that burst into full bloom when spring arrives. Nobody looks at a bare tree in January and assumes it is dead forever. We know spring is coming. We know the leaves will return. We know the color will come back. I need you to look at your own life with that same confidence. What looks dead and bare in you right now is not dead, it is dormant. And dormant things are not finished things. They are simply waiting for the right season to burst back into life. Some of you have been so busy trying to fix everything on your own that you have forgotten how to rest in the process. You have been striving, forcing, manipulating circumstances, trying to control every single variable because you are terrified of what happens if you let go and simply trust. But control was never meant to be your job. Your job is faithfulness. Your job is obedience. Your job is showing up and doing the next right thing one day at a time, and trusting that the outcome is not entirely dependent on your ability to force it into existence. Release the grip. Open your hands. What you are holding on to so tightly with white knuckles might actually be blocking the very thing you have been praying to receive, because your hands are too full of fear to receive something new. I want to speak a word over every relationship that feels broken right now, every family that feels fractured, every friendship that feels distant. Restoration is possible. Reconciliation is possible. What feels permanently damaged today is not necessarily permanently damaged forever. Bridges that seem burned can be rebuilt. Silence that has lasted years can be broken by one honest conversation. Do not assume that the current state of your relationships is the final state. People change, hearts soften, pride breaks. What looks impossible to fix today might be one humble conversation away from healing tomorrow. Do not give up on the people you love, even when it feels easier to walk away than to keep hoping for something different. To everyone who feels like they have failed too many times to start again, you have not disqualified yourself. Failure is not the end of your story unless you decide to stop there. Every person who has ever accomplished anything significant has a long list of failures behind them that they simply refuse to let define them. Failure is data. Failure is information. Failure teaches you what does not work so that you can adjust and try again with wisdom you did not have before. Do not let shame convince you that your mistakes have permanently disqualified you from your purpose. Get back up. Try again. This time with everything you have learned. I want to leave you with this picture. Imagine standing at the edge of a field that has been plowed but not yet planted. The ground looks empty. It looks like nothing. If you did not know any better, you would think that field was useless, barren, going nowhere. But a farmer who understands the process does not panic at an empty field. He knows that emptiness is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of it. He plants anyway. He waters anyway. He tends to the ground anyway, even though nothing visible has happened yet, because he trusts the process more than he trusts his own impatience. I want you to become that kind of person, someone who keeps planting even when the field looks empty, someone who keeps watering even when nothing seems to be growing yet, someone who trusts the process more than their own eyes. Everything is shifting in your favor. Say it again to yourself slowly and let it settle into the deepest part of your heart. Everything is shifting in your favor. Not everything has arrived yet. Not everything has been fully revealed. But everything is moving, positioning, aligning, and shifting, whether you can feel it or not. You do not have to manufacture your own breakthrough through sheer force and panic. You simply have to remain faithful, remain hopeful, remain obedient, and let the process complete itself in the timing that was always designed specifically with you in mind. There is coming a day, and it may be closer than you think, when you will look back at this exact season of your life, this waiting, this uncertainty, this quiet ache of unanswered prayer, and you will understand why it took as long as it did. You will see the wisdom in the timing. You will see the mercy in the delay. You will see how every single piece needed to be in place before the answer could come, because had it come any sooner, you would not have been ready to carry it, sustain it, or steward it well. Your breakthrough is not just about what you receive. It is about who you become in the waiting, so that when it finally arrives, you are strong enough, wise enough, and rooted enough to hold on to it without it falling apart in your hands. So hold on one more day, hold on one more hour if that is all you have strength for. Keep believing, even in the smallest whisper of faith, because a small flame of faith is still a flame, and it can still light the way forward. Do not let today's silence convince you that tomorrow has nothing for you. Do not let this season of waiting rewrite what you know to be true in your heart. Everything you have hoped for, everything you have prayed for, everything you have believed for through tears and disappointment and long nights of doubt, it is coming, not because you forced it, not because you were perfect, but because timing that seems delayed to you was never actually late. It was always right on schedule. Get ready. Something is shifting. Something is aligning. Something that has been closed is about to open, and when it opens, you will understand that every single day of waiting was worth it. Stand firm. Stay faithful. Keep your eyes forward. Your breakthrough has a due date, and it is closer than you have ever imagined. I want to go a little deeper now, because there is a difference between hearing something and letting it take root inside you. Anyone can listen to words of encouragement for a few minutes and feel a small lift in their spirit, only to walk right back into the same discouragement an hour later. I do not want that for you. I want these words to become something you carry with you into tomorrow morning, into next week, into the hardest moment of the month ahead, when everything in you wants to quit. So let us build something sturdier than a passing feeling. Let us build conviction. Conviction is what remains when emotion fades. Emotion will rise and fall like a tide, some days high, some days completely gone. But conviction is the anchor that holds steady no matter what the water is doing above it. You need more than a moment of inspiration tonight. You need a decision. Decide right now that no matter how long this season stretches, you will not become a person defined by bitterness. Decide that no matter how many prayers seem to bounce off the ceiling, you will not stop praying. Decide that no matter how many people around you give up on their own dreams, you will not use their surrender as permission for your own. This is a decision, not a feeling. And decisions can be made even on the days when feelings refuse to cooperate. Think about the people who have gone before you, the ones whose stories you admire, whose lives you study for inspiration. Every single one of them had a season that looked exactly like yours looks right now. A season of obscurity, a season of rejection, a season where nothing seemed to be moving in the direction they hoped for. If you could sit across from them today and ask what got them through, none of them would tell you it was ease. None of them would tell you the answer came quickly, painlessly, or on their own preferred timeline. They would tell you it was relentless, quiet faithfulness during the years nobody was watching. They would tell you the breakthrough looked sudden from the outside, but on the inside, it was the result of 1,000 small, unnoticed decisions to keep going when giving up would have been so much easier. You are being shaped in this season, whether you feel it or not. Every hard day you have pushed through has added something to you that cannot be taught in a classroom and cannot be given to you as a shortcut. It has to be lived. It has to be walked through. There is a version of strength that can only be forged in fire, and you are being refined right now, even in the middle of the discomfort, even in the middle of not understanding why things are unfolding the way they are. Trust the process enough to let it finish its work in you, rather than stepping out of the fire too early and missing the very transformation you have been asking for all along. Let me speak now to your patience, because patience has probably been stretched further than you ever thought it could go. You have likely surprised yourself with how much you have endured, how many setbacks you have absorbed, how many disappointments you have processed and kept moving anyway. Do not underestimate what that says about you. It says you are stronger than you give yourself credit for. It says your foundation is deeper than your current circumstances would suggest. People who did not have what you have would have folded a long time ago. You are still standing. That in itself is not a small thing. That is evidence of something powerful working inside you, something that refuses to be extinguished, no matter how many times the wind has tried to blow it out. I also want to address the fear of missing your window, because I know that fear is loud for some of you. You worry that if the answer does not come soon, it will come too late to matter. You worry the opportunity will pass, the moment will close, the door will lock forever. I want to gently remind you that the same wisdom governing the timing of your life is also governing the width of your window. What is truly meant for you will not require you to catch it by force before it slips away forever. It will arrive precisely when you are ready to receive it, and it will not close the moment before you are prepared to walk through it. Release the anxiety of timing and replace it with confidence in design. Your life was not left to chance, and neither is your window of opportunity. There will be moments after this, days that feel just as heavy as the ones before. And in those moments, come back to this. Remind yourself that shifting does not always look like movement to the naked eye. Sometimes shifting looks like stillness on the surface while everything underneath is being rearranged. Trust what you cannot see. Trust the process even when it is silent. Trust that the same faithfulness that has carried you through every closed door before this one is still carrying you now, quietly, steadily, without announcement, toward the exact place you were always meant to stand. Keep walking, keep believing, keep speaking life over your own story, even on the days it feels foolish to do so. The shift is already in motion. You will not have to manufacture it, force it, or beg for it. You simply have to stay faithful long enough to watch it arrive.